Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Mac event for Thursday, June 24th, 2021. My name is Herbie Allen and I am joined on stage by my two wonderful club heads as well, Chanel Allen and Mark Bayarjan, whose name maybe one day I actually will fully pronounce correctly. And this is where we are going to talk anything related to the Mac. Now, a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, I have been asked about timing and how long will this event go for. So my goal is to try to keep it within an hour and a half. So we will end by around 12:30 Central Time, if at all possible. If we go over, it'll be because of people's questions. We do have two things for you today in terms of demos. Chanel is going to instruct all of us, including myself, on how to do emojis in the Mac, and then she's going to do a much more broader demo in the next week or so on a totally different app. And then I'm going to show you all how to watch TV on your Mac and why you would want to do so. This is part of the Blind Mac Users Club, and we are also recording this event for uploading later to YouTube. If you are on YouTube, I do always include the link to our club in the description, so if you're on Clubhouse, be sure to join us. And if you are following in the audience, definitely go above my name. You'll find the button there, double tap that, and make sure you are following the club too, and we will add you in as members so you can get notified of the events that we have going on. Now, I was not aware of this last week, but a conflict is going to prevent me from doing the iOS demos this week that I was originally going to do. So that is going to be pushed back to next week, and I've also changed what I'm going to demo because I want to do something that I can actually link up to the Mac. And so what I'm going to do is next week on noon at Sundays, provided I don't have any other conflicts that suddenly pop up, I am going to show you all the phone app on your phone. Yes, that's right. You may have these amazing smartphones that can do all sorts of things. You can send email, play internet radio stations, play games, but did you know they can actually do phone calls as well? But along with that, there's a few things that can enhance your experience beyond just making a basic phone call. So I'm going to kind of delve into that a little bit. And I'm also going to show you how you can make phone calls on your Mac as well. And even if you don't have a Mac, if you're just an iPad user, you will also find that aspect very informative, because I've noticed some people don't actually fully understand what their phone is fully capable of, and I want to educate people on that. So that is my goal for next Sunday. I will let you know for sure next week if that is happening. And then also, in addition to this, they love me talking about Mac so much that they want me to do it some more. And or maybe they just want me to talk so much that I'll tire myself out. I'm not sure which. But iBug Today, which is an organization, you can find them on the web at ibugtoday.org, as well as their club here in Clubhouse, has asked me to do a similar event over there to what we do on this club. So that'll be every Wednesday starting July 7th from 5 to 7 Central Time. It probably won't last the full 2 hours. I guess that's going to really depend on questions and demos and whatnot. And a sneak peek, so they also have what is the iBug Cafe, which is a much more, they do demos as well, and they're talking about games. And so, I just had the brilliant idea yesterday that, I think I'll talk about a couple of games that I know how to do on the Mac. And I'll also talk about that here on this club too. But these will be free games that anybody can do if you have a Mac. So I thought that would be kind of an interesting transition, topic for that. So there you go. I find a lot of interlinkages with things. That's what I do. Okay, let's talk about this club now. So like I said, we're going to talk anything about the Mac. And I do have an icebreaker question for you all that you can answer if you want. And that is, what is one thing you either think the Mac could do better or you could do better on the Mac. So really more of like, what is one thing you wish you were better at on the Mac? And it could be anything, or maybe there's some things that you find easier on iOS or Windows, that you'd love to be able to accomplish on the Mac. Whatever that is, that's our optional icebreaker question if you want to answer that, or if you have any other questions or comments, we'd love to have you on. Even if you just all you need to do is raise your hand and we will bring you up on stage. Once on stage, just please remain muted until we call on you, or if you're answering another question, we also ask that you do announce yourself. If you want to see who's speaking and you're here on Clubhouse, you can just do the 2-finger double tap and that'll tell you. But for the sake of the recording, and not everybody wants to necessarily have their phones out, just please, announce who you are, and then we will also call on you once you're up on stage, and you can, like I said, ask your question or help answer other questions and whatnot. So let's talk to our moderators first. And guys, we'll start with Chanel. What is one thing that you'd like to do better on the Mac? And I will go last in the moderator round, and then we'll get to people on stage.
Okay, well, that's almost for me two separate issues, because one thing I would like to do better on the Mac perhaps is two things: be more efficient at browsing the web and or be more efficient in word processing. However, I don't have too many opportunities where I actually need to do fancy word processing, so it's not something I need to do better. To the web, it's great for when I'm on the Mac, but most of the time I am using Windows. And so I wouldn't necessarily just open my Mac to pull up a website. I'd probably more likely, if I had my phone nearby, use that. So, but if you want to ask the other question, what is one thing you wish the Mac could do better? Now that is a totally different realm.
Well, maybe we'll save that one for next week. So I think we'll just keep it simple. What's one thing you'd like to do better on the Mac? You'd like to know how to do.
Then you have my answer.
All right. Mark, do you have any comments?
No, not really. If we have a chance, can you? I know it was reviewed on the Macintalk, but I'm missing something about when you find in that Finder when you've downloaded the latest Big Sur, whatever, and you get that message about stuff being in there on Finder. I forget what it's called. I don't have my Mac.
Relocated items.
Relocated items. Yeah. How do you dump those?
Okay. Well, I'd be happy. I can't share my audio, but I'd be happy to try to find them. Grant, if I didn't delete them. But basically, what I think you would. Should I answer that now, Herbie, or were we just doing
let's
your
question?
You can do it after.
Yeah, we'll do my question first, and then we'll get.
I was having trouble bringing Susan up, and I finally got her up. I don't know, things are wonky up here today.
So, by the way, folks, just a quick note: when you do raise your hand, when we send you the invite to speak, make sure you accept. Otherwise, what happens is you end up just sitting there, and we don't know if it's on our end or your end. Also, once you do raise your hand, just please keep it raised, and we will get to you. So real quick, I kind of agree with Chanel. The one thing I think I wish,
Mark asked you what the question was, I think.
Well, the question is, what's one thing you wish you could do better on the Mac?
Short answer? Are you ready?
We're ready.
Use it.
All right, there you go. That's an acceptable answer.
That's my short answer.
Hey, that's an acceptable answer. We're kind of free form on this club. Well, I don't expect you to be anybody in here. And if you're a Mac lover, great. If you hate your Mac, that's fine too. We want to hear your thoughts and the stuff. That's the way things work here on this particular club. Then we'll act like we know what we're doing in the meantime.
Susan, if y'all can hear me, one thing I would like to learn is to, and I always forget the name of it. Oh, backup on the Mac. How do I have an external, whatever it's called, backup thing that you plug in. So that's what I need to learn, is how to back up when I'm through doing whatever I need to do.
Well, I'm going to give you a short answer to that one. What I do, because I don't use Time Machine, I just use the cloud for everything. iCloud, Dropbox, for all my files and stuff. It won't back up settings. But that's a short and easy answer. Just use the cloud for everything, and then you don't lose the bulk of your data. But at some point, we will have to do a time machine demo for sure.
We will.
Yeah, because there is several steps, and I always forget. And then knowing when to, what's the word, eject or some. I'm sure that's not.
Eject is the correct word.
When it's all over.
And you eject whenever you're not using a device, or so sometimes if you eject a CD drive, so you only do that when you're no longer when the device is done backing up or you're not transferring data or whatever. So only do eject when you are done with a device.
Okay. Hopefully you could do a demo, because I'm really not getting what all
You're
saying. But anyway.
well, we'll get Chanel or something, because like I said, I don't use Time Machine myself.
And I haven't used it, and I'll have to pull out a drive just so we can use it.
Because like I said, because I think I can reset all my Mac settings if I need to. I know I don't think they store in iCloud, but I care more about my files, because I don't know if I ever get an M1 Mac, I don't know what I might set up differently anyway. So I just prefer to use iCloud and Dropbox myself for all my files, and then not only are they backed up, but I can access them anywhere on any device, and so
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the one thing I would really love and need to learn on the Mac. Are we allowed to ask questions?
You are allowed.
We do. Well, Herbie, we do have more speaker. We have one more speaker on
okay,
stage.
Well, hold on.
So you said questions afterwards.
Okay, yes. Right, well, I said I was going to take my moderator privilege first, and then we kind of got thrown off. But
yeah, I thought you took your moderator privilege.
Or did Susan I did not get it. I did not get a chance to do that yet. No.
Okay, we'll take your moderator privilege, let's say in 1 minute.
Yes.
And then.
Okay, so I don't know who's running this club here, by the way. I guess we're all equal.
Well, I'm trying to keep things in order.
Yes. Okay. I'm just doing a mass mute here so we don't have any background noise. So I think the one thing I would like to do better on the Mac too is, web browsing I think can be the trickiest thing on the Mac. But aside from that, there's just some personal things. Broadcasting. I really wish I knew the best way to do broadcasting on the Mac. I know there are some DJ apps out there. The one I've looked at doesn't seem to support live DJing from what I can tell. And so I wish there was Apple Music. It can do some things. It's not really designed for some of the things I would do with broadcasting, like adding in jingles and good crossfading and whatnot. So, like I said, there's some ways out there. And so there you go. Okay, I understand we do have another speaker or two up on stage.
Yes, we have Robe, and it says Robe Entertainment, unless I'm hearing that. But I think the person.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
I am Robe, and the reason I use Robe is because there's so many Roberts and Robs in the world. So
that's unique. Okay.
Now, you don't want to rob
I can differentiate myself.
Yep. You don't want to rob anybody of their name. So okay. Anyway, I'll quit now while I'm ahead.
And I despise Bob, so I'll stick Robe.
All right, Robe it is. You got it.
You don't want the founders to find out about that, though, Robert, because they want you to use your real name on Clubhouse, and they have
my real name is there.
Okay.
My real name is there. It says Robert Evans, but then you're allowed to have
username,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you can use that in your username or whatever.
All right.
No, use my real name.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great. Do you have an answer for our question?
I do. So I would like to be able to, when you get those automatic notifications, I would like to know, exactly, when it says notification, there's an available update. You never find out what the update is.
Oh, we can talk about how to do that. And so so Mark has one about
updates.
Yeah, and then so that's our theme today. All right, so we could get to that, and then who else do we? I think we have Henrik on stage.
Welcome.
Yes, hello, Henrik here
Hello.
from Norway in
Welcome.
Europe.
Welcome.
And good evening.
Good evening for you. It's afternoon here. Whatever time of day it is, I hope it's good.
Yeah, I have a question about audio recording and audio editing.
All right.
What app or program will you recommend on Mac or iOS?
So is that kind of an answer to our question? What's one thing you'd like to do better on the Mac, and would yours be recording audio?
Yeah, recording audio and editing audio.
Okay, so that's an excellent. Sorry, Herbie. I don't know if you want to take that one first, or should we take the updating?
So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to circle back around. We're going to get to Susan's question first because she actually had the first question. Then I'm going to get to. Then I'll let Chanel. You will talk about updating, and I will talk about audio recording. So Susan,
Sure.
Let's start with your question first, and then we'll cycle around to whoever else is up on stage. So just keep raising your hands, and guys, bring them up.
Well, I think hers was about Time
she
Machine
had an additional
and wanting
question.
a demo. Okay. Oh, okay. So Susan, if you want to unmute yourself, it's the button in the lower left-hand corner.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mine was in the middle of the screen.
Oh, you're using an iPad. That's right.
Yeah, I'm an iPad lover.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I know when someone is over here with me that helps me to back up, we go to like preference pane, unless I'm getting confused with updates, and or time machine, like you said. Anyway, I can't remember the steps to get it started and when it's all done, and knowing when to unplug everything. Eject, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Time Machine is definitely in system preferences. You were right about that.
Okay. So you double tap on system preferences. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know all the steps because both Herbie and I were kind of lazy when it comes to the backup.
So one thing I could tell you from what I know about the Mac
so.
and Apple in general, though, I can answer the last part of your question first. And if anybody...
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the Mac. I apologize.
Yeah, and if anybody else actually does a Time Machine backup, if you definitely want to come up here and help answer this question, that would definitely be appreciated. But one thing I can tell you is the Mac generally, with its processes, and this is the same with the iPhone, it usually makes the tritone sound, like the do-do-do. So that's usually how you know things are done. And when also, if you're on the window itself, usually it makes clicking sounds when it's doing its processes, unless you've disabled that or whatever. Or you can read progress bar announcements, things like little things, like it might say, and VoiceOver should tell you too, I would imagine, like saying it's completely done or whatever. And if you do a command W, I would imagine it would have it throw fit if it's still running the process. So say, quit now. Are you sure you want to quit now? So those are some general tips to know when something is still in progress or not. And then you can eject afterwards. Do not eject before. So that would be things I would look for to know when it is done.
How do you set up all that stuff? Because it never says that. For me,
good
morning, you guys.
we
Hello,
know,
just a minute, please.
The only way we do it whenever my friend is here is to swipe like to the right and then back to the left to see if it's like 6% or
that might be your
50% or whatever, but it never says.
I use
it never says anything else. Like you mentioned, which would be a big help.
So please say your name and.
So listen, this is I'm Breezy Wonder. So usually how Time Machine works, if you have a new drive or a drive that is freshly formatted.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff.
Okay, well,
if you've been backing up to it for a while, chances are
have you already been backing up to it already?
Well, this is Celeste. Just as in layman's terms, formatted would mean everything's been wiped from the drive and you're starting from fresh,
Yeah, you're
from
starting from
new.
scratch. But the thing about Time Machine is it has to be formatted. It has to be formatted in APFS format, which is Apple's proprietary file system format. So you format it, nothing on it. As soon as you plug it in, the Mac is going to say, "Hey, would you like to use this drive for backup purposes?" You can say yes, or you can say no. If you say yes, then it takes you to a screen, and automatically by default, it's like, okay, we're going to back up everything on your computer to this drive, assuming you have enough space. If you don't have enough space, then it asks you, okay, what's more important to you? We suggest you back up your documents and your application data and your applications, and it'll make recommendations for you based off of how much space you have. But then it'll also um, it once your drive gets full, it'll start deleting the oldest of your backups. So like it's pretty much like you just make
But
some choices, and then it
but
just
none
does
of
what
my
it does.
stuff is saying doing those things like you're doing. I
Okay,
mean,
so
we wait a minute, sir.
okay,
We know that it's backing up. That we know, but I was impressed on what Herbie was saying to let it tell me, okay, it's doing this. Like, are you ready to eject
okay.
or the other stuff?
So what happens is
But
when
wait a minute. The only time when it says install now or whatever, it just talks for updates, but it doesn't say anything about backing up.
it's not gonna say it by default because it's if that drive is plugged in, if you change anything, it's gonna do it. So that would
I
give you
don't
that
change
redundant.
anything. I don't
No, I
change
mean
anything.
like even something as simple as going to a website.
So I
We
guess
don't
maybe
go
the
to a
question
website.
would
So
be how
basically,
can
what
she check
how
to
do you? I was
see?
about to tell you how you check the status of Time Machine. You know how to get to the. Do you know how to get to the status menu? You do voice over MM. That will take you to
Yeah,
the status menu
yeah,
where you're.
yeah. Go to preference pane and
No,
No.
not the preference panes. Not in
under
system
No,
preferences.
preferences, whatever,
this is Herbie.
whatever I said.
VOMM
It,
is a
Not in
it'll
system
suggest that
universal
preferences.
part's right.
command for voice over.
This is a universal
Yeah,
command that
command.
brings up the command
Voice
MM.
over,
I
yeah.
mean voice over
So
MM.
it's MM twice, not just the
And
one
what
M.
that does is it takes you. Yeah,
It goes to the menus that show things like the
the clock,
Wi-Fi,
the
the
Wi-Fi, the
battery,
Bluetooth, your
but it has Time Machine in there as well.
and if you voice over space on Time Machine, there will if you voice over down arrow through that menu that pops up, it'll tell you when the last time your backup is run. It'll tell you if it's running. It'll tell you
Yep.
what it's currently backing up. So you can, that's where you check all your Time Machine status stuff. And at the very bottom, you can click the button to open up Time
This
Machine
is
preferences, which will just
Herbie. Just a
pop up
recommendation here:
preferences.
if you're gonna do a time machine backup, I wouldn't recommend unplugging the drive at all unless you absolutely have to. I would just leave it in there and let it automatically work. And this is
That's
so you
what we
wouldn't need to
do.
worry about
That's what we
ejecting
do.
then.
But
Okay.
well,
No,
eventually when it's
I'm
done,
saying leave it in there all the
um,
time. Leave the drive always plugged in.
all the time.
Yeah, when it's done, you don't have to eject it when it's done.
I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Backblaze, but think of it as an internal version of Backblaze, but it's going to a hard drive
And
and
see,
not
this
a
is
web
why I
server. So
recommend.
you want,
Honestly, I would recommend either like I said, I would just what you want to leave the drive plugged in. What Celeste said is a very good point. It's like backing up to a web server, but you're backing up to a hard drive.
Yeah.
But I would leave that plugged in all the time so it can just do its thing in the background. And that is what and I think you'll find things a lot easier. Just plug it in there. I'm sure you can. And we need to do. It's obvious we need to do a full demo, and so I do want to move on from this. But I think
True,
if you could
true.
probably set it to just
Okay.
automatically
Yeah.
back up, just leave the drive plugged in all the time, and you should have it a lot easier.
Okay. Can I ask one more
Okay, real
question, real
quick.
quick? Yeah. Well, number one,
Well, we actually, yeah, okay.
yeah. I really hope y'all do a full demo one time, sometime in the near future. So yeah, I'll keep it plugged in all the time, but would I still have to get it started and say,
I
"Hey,
would
go ahead
admit
and start,"
if Time
or
Machine
will
is
it
like
do
an
it all by
iCloud
itself?
backup, it should just do it automatically. But okay,
Okay.
Yeah, it will. It will.
Okay, I'll look forward to that demo. Thank you, y'all.
So I do
Appreciate it.
want to, we have had people come onto our stage. One gentleman, Breezy Wonder, and I'm not sure if the name changed to Alan Yoder, if that's a different person. We also have Celeste, welcome, and
No. Yep. No, personally, like I said, I prefer just Time Machine is great and all that. If you really want to back up your well, but hold on. One thing I really wanted to mention: the disadvantage you are going to start to run into a Time Machine is if you ever get an M1 Mac. I have heard of some people having problems, and so this is why I recommend instead of relying on Time Machine, unless you really need to back up actual system stuff, you are better off just using iCloud Drive or Dropbox. Get the Pro plan so you have plenty of space. Save all your documents into folders. I've got it. Folders and whatnot. And I think that ultimately you'd have a lot easier time because it's always there. It's always updating. You don't have to worry about some of the hassles you have to worry about with Time Machine. And so I think ultimately you may find that a lot easier and more universally accessible. Okay, Chanel, we had a question on updates.
Well, we need to make sure, welcome these other people to the stage and make sure they answer your question and get to ask theirs. And then I've got to go get the door. I really
wanted to, like I said, I wanted to move on from Time Machine. So Chanel is getting the door. So I'm just going to go ahead and, well, let's see. I think actually Chanel should be coming back momentarily. In the meantime, I guess I will answer the question briefly about audio recording and audio editing. Oh, you're back? Okay.
All right. No, I'm back. But we didn't, Alan and Celeste did not have a chance to introduce themselves.
We haven't even gotten to them yet because we still got other questions to answer. That's what.
No, we were going to go through all of our people and then go back. But, or whatever.
Yeah, go through the people first. I think that's what we're normally supposed to do.
Well, we do have a backlog here. So, okay, well, Celeste and Alan, our icebreaker question is there anything you'd like to be able to do better on the Mac? Though in Celeste's case, it would be your case. If you got a Mac, what's one thing you would like to learn how to do on it? You are live.
Am I live?
Well.
All right, good. This is Alan. Whoops.
And you are no longer live.
Uh-oh.
There you are.
Okay, that stopped. I did one of my other programs did something. I had to wait for it to stop before I started talking again. One of the things I want to do better on the Mac is when I'm switching virtual machines, it's kind of a bumpy ride between Mac and Windows at the moment. I want to improve that. And I had a comment about Time Machine as well.
Okay.
It doesn't normally show up on the VoiceOver MM menu.
Yeah, you have to tell it to be there.
You have to enable that, and to do that, you have to go to Time Machine Preferences. In the Preferences pane
System
area.
preferences.
Yes. And there's a checkbox there, and you have to enable that to make it appear on the menu bar.
Same as with volume and Bluetooth. Yeah, there's many things you actually have to. Yep.
No,
Excellent
from
point.
What I remember, my Bluetooth
Alan.
was. Well, maybe it's been so long since I first used my Mac, so what do I remember? Okay, Celeste.
Okay, so actually, it's interesting. I don't have a Mac, but I'll be honest, I side with Herbie with the whole broadcasting thing, and it's one of the reasons why I don't have one, because at this point, that's one thing that Windows is better at, and if the Mac ever comes out with a program, someone's talking over me. A program
Hold on, I'm going to
that
do a mute all, and then I will. Then you'll be able to unmute. So, getting back to my window. Here we go. Okay. And Celeste, you can now unmute.
Okay, there we go. So I side with Herbie on the whole, they need to have better broadcasting apps out or something for the Mac because that would encourage me to buy one for one thing. And at this time, like Backpack Studio is only an iOS for the iPhone. I don't think there's one for the
So
Mac.
theoretically, you
I
might
haven't
be able
heard
to
of one
run
anyway.
Backpack
So
Studio as an Mac app if you have an M1 machine, and I don't know if that is possible because I do not have an M1 machine. So that might actually be a possibility.
okay, but still,
Yes.
programs that are similar, like Station Playlist or Sam Broadcaster, aren't out there for the Mac yet. And if that day ever comes, then, well, I may not, when I see that they're stable and accessible with VoiceOver, I might be like, okay, my
Well,
next
I want to
machine, once my
be
Windows
clear. There are
machines
broadcasting
bite
apps
the
for the
dust.
Mac. I just don't know how to use them. That's not as universally taught as like some things on Windows, like Station Playlist are. So I want to make it clear that there is broadcasting software for the Mac. Some of them look nice because it looks like they can tie in multiple music services, which would really open up some very interesting possibilities, as well as your own collection. So, imagine being able to interface with like Apple Music as well as, that is something that Station Playlist cannot do, for
That would
instance.
be
And if
really
I could
cool,
get
'cause,
that
like,
to
I
work
have...
on the Mac, I'd have a field day because, there you go. All right, but what I want to do from here.
But the other thing
Right.
is we don't know how accessible they are either,
Yes.
because of how limited
This is
they're
where
talked
getting good
about
with
in the rules.
navigating the Mac in general can
So
really
we don't
help
even know.
understanding these programs. But yes, I do know what you mean. And the problem is some of these you have to pay for, and some of the broadcasting software assumes that you want to pre-record your stuff, not do it live. And but maybe over time we'll get some experts on here that can really help with that.
If I could interject, I actually have Loopback, which is a software that allows you
Yes.
to basically move around the audio on your Mac, and it works perfectly
So
fine, and
Loopback
it is
is what virtual
extremely
audio cable is
accessible.
for Windows. But that is not actual broadcasting software. So with
Right.
broadcasting software, there's two aspects to that, and I really I'll just be brief here.
But just to
Yes.
answer your question about bringing like the Apple
Yes, no,
Music,
I'm well aware
you
of
could
that.
use
But I
Loopback
want
as
to
a
explain a little
throughway.
bit further here so people aren't fully in the dark. So with broadcasting, there's two components you need. Well, three really. There's the encoders, there's the bringing in the audio, and then what actual app you're going to use to broadcast with. Audio hijack is what I would use for the encoders, and you can definitely pipe in. But what I really need for broadcasting is something where I can do proper crossfading and be able to cycle from one window to another to cue in like jingles and stuff. And like Apple Music, for instance, it has a totally different interface on the library side than it does on the Apple Music side, which can make things very tricky. And so I need something that can universally work. That, like I said, can also do proper. I can also adjust the crossfading how I like it, and things like that. Some apps do have a universal crossfade, but it's not as precise as like Station Playlist is on the Windows side. And so it's some fine tuning things that I really need. Now loopback is something that, in fact, that's what I use what I'll be using later on when I do my TV demo. So I'm very well acquainted with loopback, and it is a great program for bringing in multiple audio sources. And in some respects, I see why people like it better than Audio Hijack. There's some things Audio Hijack can do, some things Loopback can do. So yes, you can.
But you can use those in concert also.
What a lot of people do is they'll create a session in Audio Hijack and then have it here a loopback session, for instance, and so you definitely can. But it's the fine tuning and getting access to all the to the music and whatnot, and that's the that's the actual part I'm referring to with broadcasting. The other parts I can, for instance, I did Audio Hijack the other day to run 2 separate streams, but these were shows that were put together ahead of time. And so these weren't me live in front of the mic. So, all right, I really want to get to our questions that we actually do have so far, and then we will get to anybody else that is on stage. And because I want to really make sure people do get their questions answered, otherwise we will never get. So, Chanel, do you want to answer the question about updating, and then I will answer the question about audio editing? Not quite.
All right, which you kind of have answered. So I was just trying to remember the question. Okay, well, anyway, so Mark wants to know how sometimes when you get a major operating system update, such as from Mojave to Big Sur, or even from versions of Big Sur, you will get this thing on your desktop called Relocated Items Alias. An alias is another term for a shortcut, just like you have shortcuts in Windows. Maybe you have a shortcut to documents or trash, or recycle bin or whatever. The Mac shortcuts are called aliases, and they're typically for folders or files on your Mac's main drive. So this relocated items. The other day in a meeting that we have in another group called iBug Today, the iBlend users group, we have a Mac meeting, and someone asked about this relocated items alias, and someone else pointed out how you can actually go to the source and delete the relocated items. So I'm going to attempt to do that now. I'll just tell you what I'm doing because I'm not set up to share audio. I'm currently on my desktop. You can get there with VO Shift D. That kind of, I think that minimizes everything. I can't remember, or it just takes you there. So it's kind of your home base. Then I'm going to try. So there's a couple ways we could do this. We could actually go into Spotlight and search for relocated items. But I'm going to do Command Shift H to go into my home folder. There are various folder or shortcuts on the Mac, keyboard shortcuts. These are Mac specific, not VoiceOver specific, that will open different folders in your Finder, which is the Mac's file management system. So I'm going to press Command Shift H. And it says Home Chanel Column View Browser. So I'm going to down arrow. First, I'm going to turn Quick Nav off, and then I'm going to down arrow and see if I'm going to press R to see if I can find relocated. No, I don't have a relocated. So I'm going to go up one folder, and I can do that with Command up arrow. System users, let's see. Users, let's see, I can't. Oh, okay. Right arrow, I'm using column view. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, shared. They mentioned something about shared. So if I do right arrow, because I'm in column view, public, no, I can try to look in there.
I thought people had the
okay, so the other thing I'm going to do then is spotlights.
Alias, okay.
Desktop.
I told you it was an alias.
Yeah, mine comes up right away when it opens up. It says Finder. It says relocated.
Well,
item.
I deleted the alias. When you delete the alias, that's deleting the shortcut.
Yeah.
But they were talking about finding the original folder location. Remember, I just got done explaining. So let me search. I may have already deleted it, but relocated items.
Because it wants me to interact. If not, it's right there. It's when.
Yeah, I know, but it's probably showing you an alias, which is.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, I'm just getting Google things for what are relocated items, or I could do an options, but basically you'll want to open the alias, however you open things, Command down arrow, Command O, and then you'll want to go to the containing folder, which is Command up arrow, and then you should find it with a group of other items, in a list or column, and then you'd be able to delete it that way.
Okay.
So that is interesting because I don't ever remember seeing that. I've heard a couple other people talking about this, and I don't remember even ever seeing the alias with any of my updates, let alone the. So I wonder what causes. Yeah, no, I understand
Okay,
the
Herbie,
difference
but
between an
as long as you
alias is the
understand the
shortcut.
difference
I totally
between an
get that.
alias,
I'm talking about just even. I don't even remember ever even seeing that on my
that
desktop,
points to
let
the
alone. But
item.
okay, and then don't forget our other question about system updates.
Oh,
Oh,
relocated items. Oh, I did have it on here. Oops. Okay, I thought I got. Okay, so now I'm seeing it. I'm going to do a command down arrow. See, it goes to show how little I look at stuff on my desktop. Okay, command down arrow. And mine has something called configuration folder. So basically, these items are no longer relevant to the current operating system. So I am going to go up, command up arrow, so I can go into the in closing folder. And there it says relocated items folder. Now, if I do command delete,
so what? Yeah,
that will get rid of the
I was
folder.
going to
Now, if I
ask what
wanted
root
to
folder is
see
it in?
what? Well, let's see. If I hit the, I think you can hit Command R to reveal or Option. I can't remember.
It'll be in the share.
That's what I.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I looked before and I didn't see it. But let me. Oh, there's several here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let me just do Command I because that'll give me the info. Okay. Oh, but I didn't see it in shared. That's weird because I went to shared. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Let me just try that.
There's one thing I'd like to add, just really quick, if I can.
Sure.
So if you find that alias on your desktop, if you do a VO Shift M on it to open the context menu, one of the options will be Show Original, and that'll bring you right to the folder where the original files are.
Yeah, you're correct. Sorry. All right.
No worries. Just wanted to add that.
No, you're correct.
Okay.
So VO Shift M, and then it brings you to the files, and then you just Command Delete from there.
Yeah, so VO Shift M to show original location.
Yeah.
Or it'll open
Or
a
show
menu.
original.
I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, so
You
VO
got me,
Shift M and
you
then
got me
down there.
lost on the roadmap because you were doing so many things there. I got totally
Sorry.
lost.
Okay, so you will do VO Shift M and then down arrow to show original, enter, and then it should open up there.
Okay, and then just hit VO delete and then delete the whole bunch of them. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's just keep it simple and try it. We know it's not going to do any harm, so I just want to get rid of them because every time I start my Mac,
Herbie, I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted? Okay, so when I did Command Shift Home, I did the Command Shift H, and then I closed the folder, and then went down to my users folder, opened it, and that's where I saw the shared items, and I did actually see relocated in that folder, so interesting. Okay, I think we need to put together a bit more of a solid demo for this, so we can make it a little bit less confusing, but all right.
Oh no, it's right here. I think no. I see it. I'm seeing all these previously all the stuff that I didn't delete, so that's probably what was throwing me off.
All right, and then and how about we also had the other question about updates as well.
Yeah, so basically
hold on, why don't you do a mute all?
Yeah, let's do a mass mute.
Did you want to do it or do you want me to?
Hold on.
I'll let you do it because you're the one talking anyway.
And I'm not. Okay, whatever.
Here, I can do it then. Let's see.
I've
Okay, you can now unmute.
All right.
Yep, you're good.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. Yeah, so basically, if your Mac says there's an update, you don't see it, so what you want to be able to do is bring up your list of running applications, and there is a voiceover command to do that. It's VO F1 twice. VO F1 once will tell you the number of applications and the one you're currently in, and VO F1 twice will actually list those applications. you'll be looking for a system dialog. If it's this one thing that just came and then kind of went away, it's probably a system dialog, and then you'll be able to find it. The other way to check for updates is to go into those system preferences, and then you're looking for the software update button in the preference panes, and then that will tell you whether it is there are updates available, and you just go through that process. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. I think it was Henrik. And you will need to unmute, but...
No, that was actually me, Robe.
Oh, Robe, I'm sorry.
Right, and what it is when the notification comes on the screen, it just says that there's an update. Do you want to, execute the update, or do you want to close? And it doesn't say what the update is. That's what I'm saying. On
Okay.
that notification, it doesn't give any indication as to what they're talking about.
All right. Generally, so you're able to access the notification, though, correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay. And you're using VoiceOver?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, does anyone else have any feedback on that question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
He's basically trying to figure out, he'll get sometimes an update, but that there's an update, but it won't tell him which app or which service or whatever
I have
is being
seen
updated.
3 different types of system updates on the Mac myself. The software updates, which you'd go to the software update and system preferences.
Yeah, but he's trying to figure out what exactly. He's getting a notification that there's an update,
right.
Herbie, but what is the update?
That's what I was getting to. You can always look in your system dialogues, but what I'm giving you some places to look where it most likely is going to be. The second type of updates I have seen for system announcements are Safari updates and App Store updates. So those are probably usually your main kind, but you should be able to do VO F1 quickly and go down to system dialog.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
And that should tell you what is going to update. Most apps usually I've seen, at least that I've come across, usually they don't update until you actually open the app and then it says, oh, there's an update. Do you want to install it? That's been my experience so far. I've only used...
Yeah, but if I'm already in the dialog box, the notification
he's in the
dialog box, but it's not specifying what the thing is. So it gives me the option to update or to close it. And a lot of the times I just close it because I don't know what it is. So
it may tell you what it is once you hit the update button. And also, my question...
But then it's kind of too late because you've already executed the update.
Some things I usually have a confirmation window.
Okay.
I think...
And somebody else is going to say something, and I asked it. Yeah, well, we'll see if they're going to say what I was going to say.
I was going to say that if you cancel out of that, you can hit VOO or VON to get to the notification center, and that might have more information about the notifications that are popping up. So usually a system update or an app update will show up there. Because I know what you're saying. Like sometimes the dialogues will open and the title isn't announced, or all you have access to is the buttons, but you don't have like more context as to what you're actually updating. So VOO gets you to the notification center, and that'll show you more info about the individual notifications that are popping up. And yeah, sometimes the update button it'll bring you to like an installation dialog. Sometimes it'll just run it and be done with it.
And sometimes it's necessary to go to the actual system dialogues button.
Right.
System dialogues.
But one thing I've noticed with Apple over the years is they generally assume that the end user doesn't necessarily know what they are doing. And so that's a lot of times why you see a lot of confirmation windows and stuff like that. It's kind of a little bit... Yep. It's a little bit more... That's where it's... Hello. That's where it's a little different from Windows, is they tend to assume sometimes that... Well, actually, I won't say you can't go wrong in a Mac, but they really do try to make it more difficult. Windows has gotten a lot better about that over the years, though, in all fairness. But that's one thing I've really noticed about just the Appleverse in general. And sometimes you just have to do a little bit of exploring also too to see what you're actually doing. And also my other question was this though, have you, like, I'm assuming you've done like, VO left to, see if there's anything else in that entire window, like or tabbed around, just some.
Yeah, that's correct. I do tab all around, and normally you have like maybe 3 or 4
Right.
spots where you can
But have
go
you
to,
tried
but
VO left?
none of them
Have you
actually
have you tried
indicate.
VO lefting arrowing to see if there's anything before the close button?
Yeah, all the way to
Okay.
the end. Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Interesting. So I think I've always known what it's wanted to update, but hopefully those other tricks help.
Yeah, thanks a lot though. I get where you're coming from. The click on the update button and then it'll bring you to the app store or
Yeah.
wherever, and you still have a choice to
Usually that
make.
is the
So
case. Or you have a
yeah,
cancel button if nothing else. But
because I've even tried VOCR and that doesn't give you like what's on the screen.
Interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
Another
I've
way
used
to.
that program. It's
But
kind
the
of hit or
main
miss,
system
but
updates I've usually seen, like I said, are software updates,
yeah,
Safari, and App Store. Something within the App Store
right.
wants to update. So those are the main system ones that.
Yeah, or external apps that you download. But
Now I
those
will
are
yeah,
say I've
usually
seen more pop-up notifications. I think I've seen this more in Catalina on Chanel's MacBook 12.
yeah. That's what I'm
Yeah,
still on. I was about
okay.
to tell
That
you
I
that.
know.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Hey, the old gray cells here, folks. I do know what you were talking about, and those I have seen.
sorry,
And
that's
what
so loud.
happens to me is those dialogues will sometimes even disappear, and I was like, "What? What's wanting to update?"
right.
Okay,
Yeah,
I know now what you. Oh,
Herbie, you're a
sorry.
little loud.
Is that better?
Yeah, just
Okay,
talk
I do know
normally.
now what you are referring to. We need to be better about asking people what operating system you're on, I guess.
We do. And we do have, I don't know if Marco has had a chance to speak or Marcos.
Marco.
Marco, sorry.
I was just trying to say that like the notifications kind of switched from dialogue menu boxes to more what are called like
Yes.
toasts or notifications that just sort of pop up and disappear like banners, like in
Yes.
iOS. That's kind of migrated to Catalina and Big Sur. So another thing to be aware of is if you have a notification like that that pops up, you want to try using the VO actions. So that's
Yeah.
VO command space, and that'll
Yep.
pop open the
But does that
actions
work in
menu that you
Catalina?
just
I didn't
use
think
it.
it did.
No,
It
I
does.
don't think. Well, okay, yeah, it might work, but it's not as often
Okay.
used.
Right. But
Yeah,
if you
Herbie,
get,
that's been around for
Okay. Well,
ages, that VO command
I've only been
space.
using the Mac for 2 years now, so
I've never heard of
I'd
it.
never
So
heard of it
thank
till
you.
Big Sur myself. So, but
yeah, if you listen to voiceover and you hear it say actions available,
yep.
like if you're focused on a dialogue and you're not unsure of what's happening, but
Okay.
voiceover says actions available, then that gives you the indication that you can hit via command space and that'll give you some actions.
Okay.
Sometimes that'll bring up a
Yeah.
menu to dismiss, update, or cancel or something like get more
Thank you so
information.
much. That's great.
Definitely.
Yep, and it works all
Yeah,
over
and
the
I've
system.
only noticed Mark in Montreal speaking, and I've only noticed that happening since it may have happened before in the previous operating system,
Hmm.
Catalina, I think, but I've only noticed it since Big Sur. It's predominant, and you see it more, and that's where
No,
I
yeah,
first came
I
across it.
remember
Really,
seeing it in. So I run a music converter program on the old Mac, and I thought that's what wanted updating. So I know exactly what Robe is talking about. So yeah. All right. I want to briefly answer the question about audio and audio editing. So what we talked about was in the context of broadcasting, but I want to focus specifically on recording and editing because this is going to depend on what you are wanting to do. So Audio Hijack does have a built-in recorder as one of its many templates, and that's great for when you want to pipe in multiple sources. Um, or you don't mind hearing yourself looping back at yourself. But for actual, otherwise, another great program is, or app rather, is Amadeus Pro. There is both an App Store version and a standard version. From what I've heard, the App Store version has you a little bit more sandboxed, and whereas the standard version they can do things like push updates better and whatnot. I only pay for the standard version. I'm not going to pay double for the standard and App Store version. And the standard version also gives you a free trial. Um, So that is very good for your recording. You can edit stuff like that. And if you subscribe to the audio editing list, and that is audio-editing plus subscribe at groups.io, once you get on that list, ask Cliff, who runs that list, to add you to his iCloud folder for audio editing. And in there, you will find a number of tutorials on Audio Hijack, Amadeus Pro, and there is some stuff on Reaper too. Reaper, I've heard, is not as accessible on the Mac. I do not know. I tried it once and I found it confusing. Amadeus Pro, even when I didn't know what I was doing, seemed to make much more sense to me, because Reaper, you got to do more of like arming projects and whatnot. It seems like it'd be much more suited, kind of like similar to how you use GarageBand. That was my first impression anyway. So though that is what I would recommend for audio recording and whatnot on the Mac.
So would you say, this is Celeste, would you say Amadeus Pro is the equivalent of Goldwave on a Mac?
Yes, only a little bit easier to use. It is not, though, I will say, be honest, it is not an equivalent of Studio Recorder on Windows. It is.
Thank you for
Yes.
the answer. But I have one
Sure.
more question. How about Audacity? Is it still
Audacity
good enough for
I have not heard that it still works for the Mac. Again, that would be a question for the audio editing list. It's an email list, very low
audio
traffic.
editing and audio recording.
So it's audio, AUDIO dash editing, EDITING, plus sign, subscribe, SUBSCRIBE, at groups, GROUPS.io. And then it'll ask you to confirm your subscription, and you would be able to find, then you could ask specifically about Audacity. I don't even know how widely it's used on Windows now, for that matter. But most people these days do tend to recommend like Amadeus Pro or Reaper. I've also heard of another one called Twisted Wave. That's another one I've heard some people use.
But the thing is, it is a universal app for Windows, Mac, Linux. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how. I've heard Reaper is universal, for instance. That being said, I guess I don't know how the commands differ, but one thing I will tell you is that most file types are universal. So if I'm going to transition, like I've done a couple of things where I've done some work in Studio Recorder on Windows and Amadeus Pro and Mac. So what I will do is I will just save to WAV in whatever program I'm working in, and then go back, open that WAV file in the other program, so I'm editing without any quality loss.
Okay. Thank you really much, very much for
Just as a side note, you can also use GarageBand, which is free and it's included in the Mac OS.
So I personally I tried GarageBand. It gave me a headache, and if you are or anybody is able to ever do a demo or point us to one that we can from YouTube or somewhere, or a podcast that I can play here on this club at some point. And GarageBand has always struck me as it was really meant more for like music editing. I personally do, like, for instance, I put together additional radio shows in addition to the one I do live, where somebody sends me the voice file, and then I have to edit out things like pauses as well as insert my own voice in certain spots. And I don't know, I'm assuming GarageBand can do things like that easily, but a program like Amadeus Pro is definitely more suited to that. So it may depend on what type of editing you're wanting to do as well.
Yeah, you can definitely do that in GarageBand as well.
Okay.
So that is another option, because all you have to do is make regions, and once you cut the regions or whatever, you can move them around and do whatever you need to do.
That sounds
By the way, Hobie, this is Celeste. That same person that you were mentioning, they might be able to help you with Reaper in a few weeks once they have it under
All
control.
right. Well, definitely, if somebody wants to demo GarageBand or Reaper for Mac, then by all means. Like I said, I know Reaper for Windows. That's a whole nother. This is where I definitely want to be careful though with comparing the two because I've heard, yeah, Reaper on Windows and Mac they are universal in terms of sharing projects, but I know there's like scripts and stuff you have to install even for the Windows side for it to be fully
Right.
accessible. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I've heard that it is. I like I said, I can't tell you from my own experience. But I've heard from others that Reaper is not as accessible on the Mac.
And I can tell you this: that Logic is very
Yes,
accessible.
I've heard people swear by Logic as well.
I actually use Logic, so Logic is very accessible and it can accomplish all of the above of everything that you talked about in regards to audio editing.
Okay,
It just doesn't do
right.
video, but it can do
Video
audio.
is a whole nother thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, but okay, yeah, Logic Pro is another one that I have heard of. So you've got a lot of different options to look into, by all means, and figure out what works best for you. So
Okay, this is Mark in Montreal speaking, and I'm just curious. What for somebody on a fixed income and just getting into this thing, and you don't want to spend multiple amounts, especially when you convert it to Canadian dollars. So, how would you guys, Robert or Herbie or anybody on here, suggest that somebody start out with this who doesn't have the capital to invest? Is there something that you can do? Logic Pro sounds
so
like the Cadillac of all of these, but is there something you can do to sort of dip
No, but
your
that's why I
fingers
said
into it?
GarageBand first.
I
Okay,
would
but
I
for a
would
totally
so this
blind
is
person,
Herbie.
from what I
Oh,
understand,
okay,
hang
okay.
on, Herbie, hang on. I understand from a totally blind person's point of view, and Herbie has said this himself, that GarageBand is really a pain in the butt to use. It
Not
when
on the Mac.
okay, well, I
There's
guess
various opinion, and the thing is, GarageBand. I'm sorry, Mark. I cut into you. Go
no,
ahead.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just,
Um,
I'm just want to know, and GarageBand would make sense if it was accessible and doable. That's my only
it is
question.
And it is.
accessible. It's just way too involved because I don't need to do anything with instruments. I don't need
No,
for basic audio recording. It's not ideal because it's so
no.
complex.
That's what I'd want: basic audio recording, and to do DJ stuff, and maybe potentially develop a podcast. But I need to be confident enough. I used to work in radio in the '70s when we
Right.
didn't have any of this stuff, so I'd want to work around with it and be comfortable with it before I went to fly with it.
So this
So
is what
that's
I
my
really wanted to
question.
get into. First, I mean, I guess it depends on what type of learner you are. First and foremost, I say get comfortable with the Mac in general. Get comfortable with navigating the Mac, how to do things and whatnot. So that way, when you get to these other programs, the commands they give you is going to make more sense. And that was what I really wanted to emphasize. Second of all, I really first of all, anybody when you get your Mac, you do get the free voice memos app. So I do want to mention that comes as part of that, and I think GarageBand comes already built into the Mac.
I love voice memos. I use it on my Apple Watch all the time to do sneaky recordings.
Ah,
So
yes.
yeah.
Well, you can do the same thing on your Mac. Just have that laptop open there and voice memos running. You will find it in your apps folder. It will not be on your dock by default, but it is in your apps folder. So you do have voice memos to play with. Amadeus Pro, like I said, GarageBand. If we ever get a good demo on here and how to do various things with it, I would definitely find that interesting. I personally found Amadeus Pro made the most sense to me, and like I said, you do get a free trial with it, and because you can learn basic things like how to set the marker, how to move the marker. There was a couple of little things that I had to discover the hard way that were not included in some of the demos. And I think it depends too. Like, are you multi-track recording? Like for broadcasting, you may find audio hijack will work better for you. But again, if you're not doing it live, if you're doing it pre-recorded, that can really affect. So I think it really depends on, you need to ask yourself, okay, what am I doing in the first place? But I would ultimately say really get comfortable with the Mac first, because you need to know its eccentricities in. I mean, somebody else might totally disagree with me. Maybe if you feel like you're the type that could get the Mac and then tomorrow just learn the commands for how to do Amadeus Pro, then by all means give it a shot. I won't tell you no, but you do need to know things like how to browse in the Finder, and how to make what the differences between list view and column view are. For instance, you need to know how to get to your preferences. You need to know how to get to the menus. So there are some basic universal commands that you do need to be aware of to make full use of any of these programs, really. Anybody else have any thoughts? Nope. And then just, I guess for me, I did not buy these programs all at once. I bought them over time. I mean, GarageBand, again, if you're in a fixed income, if you're able to learn GarageBand, then definitely you have a full advantage there. But let's say if you want to record an interview on Clubhouse, you may need to invest in Loopback. I don't know if GarageBand, I think Logic Pro can tie in other audio sources. But I think that is an expensive program too, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can, sorry, you're having him of the vacuum here, but there we go.
Which
I
programs
was
did you
mentioning,
say,
so like,
Herbie?
I can Logic Pro tie in multiple audio sources?
No, you have to have something like
Okay.
loopback or whatever, or you can import sources. Actually,
Right.
you can route it in. Yeah, you can actually set it up as an
So,
import
but
source.
can you route two import sources? So I guess, like, can you, if you wanted to record somebody on FaceTime, for instance, could you record yourself and them with Logic Pro, or would you have to use Loopback?
I've never tried, but I'm thinking you probably have to use
Okay, so that
loopback.
tells you there that you're going to need to invest in at least Loopback, if nothing else, which is about $45. I mean, we're talking about one-time purchases here, so some of this stuff you may have to save up for, or I don't know if Canada, like in.
But there's also Sunflower, which
Okay,
is
I've not heard
a
of that
free
one,
one.
so.
Yeah.
I think I maybe heard of it. Now, let's see if we can make a clarification. So I think there's what we're talking about are, two, potentially three different things. We have audio creation
Yes.
or production, and
Right.
then we have audio
Yes.
recording and editing, or so blah, 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 blah.
And then
Logic
the
and
third thing
Garage.
is audio routing.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So audio podcasting routing or audio routing, okay, fine. Audio recording, and then if you're wanting to make your own audio. And I think GarageBand and Logic, if I'm not mistaken, are for those people who want to produce their own audio with
Yes.
instruments and so forth. And then the other programs that
Yeah,
But you
Herbie
can
you can
also
use them
use
has.
for
that for
editing as
editing
well, and
too.
they may
Yeah.
have, it may be more
Okay.
complicated. They can
Yeah.
be, but it
Okay.
can be done.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Another question. Radio making, this station
That's on
playlist
Windows.
for. Yeah, but is it
There
something
are
similar for
broadcast. So
Mac?
we had this discussion a little bit earlier, and there are broadcasting apps for Mac. One, if I could get it to actually work and in a live setting, I'd love it better than Station Playlist, because you do have to pay for it yearly, but it's actually a lot cheaper. Called DJ Pro. It's called DJ Pro AI. If anybody wants to play around with
Mm-hmm.
that app on the Mac, by all means. I think, I'd love to. If I had an M1 Mac, I would play around to see if I could get Backpack Studio to work on it. But I unfortunately do not have one. But Christmas time is not that far away, folks. I'm just saying. Anyway, if anybody has a few $100 to throw away, I'd take a MacBook Air. Personally, that would be my first choice, something portable, or an iMac or a Mac Mini, or MacBook Pro would be nice, but I'd settle for an Air. Anyway,
Herbie, you're going to have to monetize this on
yeah, well, I
Clubhouse like all
refuse to
these
do that, so.
hotshot starters are
And
doing.
just to let you know, Herbie, you have 18 minutes.
All right, so do we have any other
to do any
questions,
other
first of
demos
all?
or anything.
Oh, well, this
Yes.
is Marco. I wanted to bring something up really quick because with the previous question about being on a fixed income and worrying about the pricing of all of this stuff. One of the cool things, so GarageBand and Logic are very, very similar, and Logic has a lot more bells and whistles. But if you download MainStage from the App Store on your Mac, MainStage is basically your live production. So like you would have that running on your Mac in a live DJ setting. But one of the cool side effects of downloading MainStage, which is free, is you get all of the Logic voices and instruments and drum kits and loops that you can then patch right into GarageBand. So you don't have to buy Logic to get access to all of that. So that's a really kind of cool thing you can do. If you want to get into music production or audio editing or playing with filters and stuff, you already have GarageBand on your Mac. Just download MainStage from the App Store, and that will load in all of the Logic instruments onto your computer.
Can you use it as a radio
I don't
broadcasting
know anything
program?
about broadcasting. I just do production.
Herbie, you're muted. Herbie, you're muted. And you're breaking up. You're breaking up. And there's your voiceover breaking up.
It sounds like a filter.
Yeah.
That you can get on MainStage.
Oh dear.
Oh, man.
Maybe you went to turn loop back on and it's doing
Maybe.
that. Yeah.
Herbie.
He can't hear us because he's like on the roller coaster.
Well, we can't hear you.
Maybe not enough memory.
Yeah, not enough memory.
Who
If you're
knows?
this is Club Deck, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, close everything down.
Yeah.
Make sure you upgrade your memory, folks.
Yeah.
Well, we have like 16 gigs in these. No, Herbie, stop.
Not enough with 16 gigs.
Stop,
Okay,
Herbie.
am I breaking up now?
Maybe 16 terabytes.
All right.
No.
Well, no. I guess I'll just have to do this without voiceover. I don't know, because everybody sounded just fine on my end, so I wonder if it doesn't like me recording and doing demos at the same time. Okay, well. This is, this club is a learning experience for many of us, including yours truly, so. The good news is I can at least go back to my voice that I like. I'll have to do some more experimenting with this because I don't know why it was breaking up. I could log out and log back in, but that would ruin my recording. So I'm going to just talk about real briefly how you can watch TV on the Mac. And I'm going to do a separate demo that will actually include voiceover that will be recorded. And by the way, if you want to find these on YouTube, if you search for Let's Talk Mac, that should be one way. I'm also going to create a playlist on YouTube once I upload the second club here that's also that you can find. And I
thought
so
they were
blind Mac demo.
Mac
okay,
demos.
so I'm gonna have two playlists on here. Blind Mac demos are separate demos that I do not record on here. Those are ones I'm doing just to demo stuff. But I'm also gonna have a playlist for these specific events. Does that make sense? So I do have the Blind Mac demos playlist currently. We also do have a Facebook group now. I've sent invites to a couple of you, but if you search for blind Mac users, you should find us. If you have problems, let me know, and I'll see about posting the link in the club description as well. And I'm going to post the YouTube videos of these sessions in the group and whatnot. So, we're trying to do things to become findable. All right. But I'm going to post on YouTube a separate TV demonstration that will actually include voiceover. So I'm just going to try to narrate as I'm going along here in the meantime. So why would you want to watch TV on your Mac? Let's start with that first of all. And the reason could vary for a number of you. If you have sight, for instance, the bigger screen than what the phone or even iPad might offer is one reason. For me, I'm motivated by the fact that my Mac, even though the phones have improved, the Mac still has the superior sound card. My 2019 MacBook Pro does. And I hear it's even better since what I've got. And I also have surround sound headphones, which really make things sound excellent. So I like watching TV on my Mac. So that motivated me to use the TV app. If you were on older versions of Mac, it was built into iTunes, I think, but now it is like the phone where you've got your separate movie and TV. Now, the first thing that you would want to do if you are a blind user is one thing that might be helpful. If you want audio descriptions, you can enable those. And to do that, if you go to System Preferences, Accessibility, and then in the table, look for spoken content, you will see a box for audio description. Make sure that is enabled. So that way, if you do get encounter shows, which so far all the Apple TV Plus shows I've listened to have audio description, that is a great way to use it. And then some movies will as well, and you will find that in the thing. And you can purchase movies. One thing that's different about the Mac versus the phone is you actually purchase movies and TV shows within the TV app, not within iTunes. So that is a big difference between the phone and the Mac that I want to point out right off the bat. So you find TV on your dock, and what you're presented with right off the bat is your close minimize, and then you've got a Watch Now radio button, Apple TV Plus. Oh, okay. And then you've got movies, TV shows, library. And now something that is going to be confusing and that threw me off. So the library is its own category within the TV app. If you go to movies and TV shows, it's not going to show you the movies you've purchased or the TV shows you've purchased. What it's going to show you is what's trending and all that stuff. And so that can be a little bit confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. So that's why you have to browse within the library. But that's very easy to do. So if you're in the library tab, let's start with that. Let's say you've previously purchased movies and TV shows. The first thing you're going to be presented with is a search bar, and that's going to search the category that you're in. Next is a sidebar. And so here is where you access the material you've purchased. So if we interact with the sidebar, it's going to say movies. That's what I'm currently pointed to. You've also got, so at the very top is a library edit button. I've not done much with that, honestly. Recently added. So this is where, if you've recently purchased stuff, this is where you would find it. Movies, TV shows, and then different categories, 4K HDR, downloaded, genres, and it shows a lot of different categories that are going to, so depending on how much you've actually downloaded will depend on your, availability of movies that fit different categories. But the easiest way is to do movies or TV shows, I find. And so I'm going to uninteract. And via right, you're going to see a vertical splitter, then a grid. I'm going to interact with the grid. And you're going to see the movies that you want. So I've got the Conscientious Objector, the Flintstones, the Four Tops, Hacksaw Ridge, the Jetsons Meet the Flintstones, and Luther Vandross Live at Wembley Stadium. I don't know if that tells you anything about my movie collection, but there you have it. And my TV shows include ALF, some seasons of The Big Bang Theory, And unfortunately, those are not in DVS. Young Sheldon, and let's see, a couple of baseball things and whatnot. But I'll show TV shows in a minute. So, I want to watch the Flintstones movie, so I'm going to VO space on that. Now, what is aggravating is you have to go find, if you want to know shortcuts, you have to find them in the menu bar, but I'm going to tell you a neat trick. So it's not going to play the movie by default. What you have to do is it just brings up the movie. So if you now VO right, it's going to tell you more information about the movie that you've purchased. You've got a more button, which will include options for downloading and whatnot. Then it's going to tell you the categories. In this case, we've got PG, closed captioned. And then about other movies would say DVS, if that's an option. But I'm going to go back to the beginning of the movie here, and if I just hit space, it starts playing, and then I'm presented with a skip back 15 seconds, play, pause, skip forward 15 seconds, picture within picture, which I've never really used here on the Mac. I presume it presents more options, but I'm more used to how that works on the iPhone, where if you move away from the screen. But here, what's nice about the Mac is you can go to your somewhere else in the Mac and still have the movie playing in the background. I don't know what that does visually, but that is cool. So, like, you can, say do homework and watch a movie at the same time if you wanted, as an example. So that's another cool aspect about watching TV on the Mac. TV shows are very easy to do too, so let's go to our TV shows tab. I've got Alf. Ooh, Alf is a great one. But this is where it gets tricky because now Alf has multiple seasons. So it's saying now Alf 4 seasons. I had to so I had to VO space twice on this. So unfortunately, I do not see a way to pick a particular season, unfortunately. So what I have to do is look for the table by VO writing till I get there, interact, and then I've got season 1, row 1, and then it'll start giving. Then if I VO right, I can see the episode and it'll read the description. What's nice about this compared to the phone is the phone, if you want to see the description, you have to double tap on the episode. Here it presents it to you all on one screen. So that is pretty nice. And let's see. So the only way I've really seen here to get to the next season is just to keep browsing through each season. And so if anybody actually does know of any easier ways to do this part on the within your purchase content, I'd be very interested in that. And then you just play stuff the way you normally would. You actually have to interact with the episode that you want to play, and then if you do space, will it play? I think not. Okay, this one, TV shows are a little bit trickier. So when something wants to not cooperate, I'm going to interact with the episode, and I will go to my More button, and there is a play option here, so I'll VO space on that. And again, I'll have to do a more thorough demonstration with voiceover, so that unfortunately could be made a little bit more accessible. Okay, now many of us have access to Apple TV Plus, and you can easily watch that on your Mac as well. So I'm going to go to my series of radio buttons and select that. And now I'm presented here with a search bar, as always, and a web interface. So I'm going to just briefly show you the web interface. If you know web navigation, you're not going to have much problems here. So you've got different headings. It's going to show you trailers and whatnot. And then I can I've got my quick nav off, so I'm going to do Command VOH for the next heading. I've got Apple Originals, latest releases, drama series. Okay, let's see what's on the latest releases. And I'm going to VO right. I've got a link that says see all latest releases. And physical, an 80s housewife is transformed into whatever. Okay, well, let's see what that's like. So I'm going to VO space on that link. And it's telling me how to watch. So it's telling me new episodes are released on Friday by VO right arrowing. I've got to play first episode, so I can do that and it would start playing. I can add it to up next. This is rated TVMA. Oh, and it's telling me some interesting things. It's designed for Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, audio, closed caption, audio described, subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, telling me who it's starring. Or I can click on a particular episode. So I'm just going to click on, and what's really interesting is I can navigate seasons on Apple TV Plus, by the way, more easily than I can in the downloaded content. So, like Fraggle Rock, for instance, yes, I watched that. It has 4 seasons, and I can navigate between that. It's also really good with cloud syncing and remember your positioning. So if you where you left off, so if you go from one device to another, you can do that. So if I click on episode 1, what are we going to do? Let's do this thing. Okay, so let's see. Do I have a shortcut for playing here? I'm just looking. We can do VOM and right arrow to controls. Nope. So again, then this is where I have to do my VO right to the play episode button. So this is a different interface than the built-in content. Hit space, VO space, I'm sorry. And now we're going to have the Apple TV logo, piano music sound. And by the way, I can do some other things here. I can command up and down arrow to adjust the volume. I've got a show external playback menu as well, so if I want to switch sound devices within the app. I can also do command right arrow to go to the next episode and command left arrow to go to the previous episode. Though that one is a little bit finicky, so results may vary. All right, does anybody have any questions? Nope. So if you, like I said, if you want to give watching TV on your your Mac, definitely give it a try. I think you will find that it is doable. And you know, like I said, the Mac, it's not the iPhone. But then, to be fair, if I had to give an honest opinion, I find Apple TV Plus a bit easier on the Mac than I do on the iPhone. In terms of if I'm trying to find a particular episode, but I find purchase content a little bit easier on the phone than I do on the Mac. So that is my assessment. Now, Chanel, Mark, do we have anybody else new on stage, by the way? I've not been looking at all. No,
we don't.
Okay.
We do not.
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Quick question. I keep hearing the word M1. I think it's M1 iPad. What
All right,
is
so if you
that?
can hold that question, that'll be a great question for the iBug Monday night call or the iBug mini buzz on Tuesday. But real brief, and then I'm going to get us on out of here, is the M1 chip is a brand new processor chip that we've kind of had in the iPhone for a little bit. It came to the Mac last year, and now they're making some available with the iPad this year. And what it does is it makes it so that the iPad will perform faster, which, you know, I don't know what the voiceover experience is like, but it should load apps faster. It should download. And that's a real brief explanation on that.
Oh, okay. I appreciate you telling me that. Thanks a lot. And it's been a real good meeting.
Well,
Y'all
thank
do a
you. I hope
fantastic
that
job.
people were able to get stuff out of this. I will be posting this to YouTube a little bit later in the day, so if you search for my name, you can try to find me. Mark had a problem with that, but he was able to find my playlist. And I'll post some links on this in the club description to like the YouTube channel or to like the playlist and the Facebook group where you can find these demos. So look for that throughout the week. If you've not followed the club yet, be sure to do so. We will add you in, and we will be back here next Thursday at 11 to answer your questions and have very interesting discussions on whatever questions lead to. And think about this. So this week we asked, what is one thing you'd like to know how to do on the Mac? So you can think about this icebreaker for next week. What is one thing you think the Mac itself could do better? And so think about that for next week. Don't answer it now. So think about that for next week.
Are you is Chanel gonna post on the YouTube channel the demo of the emojis that
That is a
we didn't
great
have time
question,
for?
and we will work something out because I don't have Chanel set up yet for. But
My quick question for that is: does that also will work with your Bluetooth keyboard on the iOS? I wonder,
and Chanel, you're muted.
because I've been trying to do emojis in the last couple of days, and Siri doesn't seem to
Yeah,
cooperate.
so I think it's honestly going to be easier on your phone, but the process won't be the same
Okay.
because you have to pull up this thing called character and emojis, and you can't search on the Mac like you can on you can search, but it doesn't really bring up any results that you want because
Okay.
it doesn't let you if you search for the actual symbol, but when I type in like smile, for instance, it just brings
Hmm.
up these odd. So I figured out a way to actually get in there, but it's still problematic. So part one of the demo will just be the standard character palette, whatever it's called on the Mac, and part two will be this other app that I finally found today, the name of called Rocket, that basically allows you to insert emojis much more easily. I don't really do much with emojis, so I don't know much about what people would want to use. So I can give a basic demo, but
Well, I
I'm
was
not
just
writing
trying to
with
do it in
emojis.
Clubhouse yesterday, Chanel, just to add a white cane to my profile.
Oh, doing that with your iPhone.
And I
Okay.
was trying to say white cane, and the guy wrote out the words white cane with Siri, and I'm not a Siri user. So then I had to go into the emoji keyboard, go into search, type white cane, da da da.
Yeah.
I just was wondering if there was an easier way to do it
Well,
with the
it's probably
Bluetooth
going to be
keyboard.
easier than
That's
doing it
all.
on the Mac, though. Will be
And
interesting. I've
command.
never done much with emojis. I always found it complicated myself. So, and that's getting but let's
Yeah.
save this for next week,
Mm-hmm.
guys, because that really goes into the discussion. What is one thing you think the Mac could handle
Okay.
better? And accessibility of emojis is definitely a great talking point. So, and that could link into iOS as well.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
All right.